Have you ever wondered what to do when you know you're supposed to move forward, but fear keeps holding you back? Maybe you're waiting for the right opportunity. Maybe you're confused about your future. Maybe you've been praying for something for a long time, but nothing seems to be changing. The book of Acts gives us powerful lessons for moments exactly like these. Acts is not just a story about the early church. It's a story about ordinary people who faced fear, uncertainty, rejection, and impossible situations, and still chose to trust God. Here are 5 lessons from Acts that can change the way you look at your own life. Lesson 1. Don't let fear stop you from moving forward. In the book of Acts, the apostles faced serious opposition. They were questioned. They were threatened. They were rejected. But they didn't allow fear to completely silence them. They continued sharing what they believed was true. And that teaches us something important. Sometimes the biggest thing standing between you and your next step isn't a lack of opportunity. It's fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of what people will think, fear that you're not good enough. But faith doesn't mean you never feel afraid. Faith means you don't allow fear to make every decision for you. You may not know exactly how everything will work out, but you can still take the next right step. So if God has placed something meaningful on your heart, don't automatically assume that fear means you should stop. Sometimes fear is simply telling you that what you're about to do matters. Lesson 2. You don't need to know the whole plan. Lance. One of the most powerful themes throughout Acts is guidance. The early believers didn't always know what was coming next. They traveled to unfamiliar places. They met unexpected people. They faced unexpected problems. Yet, they continued following God's direction. And that matters because we often want the entire roadmap before we take the first step. We want to know where we'll be 5 years from now. We want to know whether our decision will work. We want guarantees. But life rarely gives us guarantees. Sometimes God gives you enough light for the next step, not the entire road. Maybe you're waiting for clarity about your career. Maybe you're unsure about your future. Maybe you're trying to figure out your purpose. Instead of demanding every answer at once, focus on what you already know is right. Pray. Think carefully, make wise decisions, and take the next step. You don't need to see the entire staircase to take the first step. Lesson 3. Your story can help someone else. The people in Acts shared what they had experienced. They talked about what they believed. They told others what God had done in their lives. And that gives us an important lesson. Your story doesn't have to be perfect to have meaning. You might look at your life and think, I don't have anything impressive to share. But maybe you survived a season that you thought would break you. Maybe you learned something through failure. Maybe you found hope when you thought there was none. Maybe you're still struggling, but you haven't given up. That itself can become a message. You don't have to pretend that your life is perfect. Real people connect with real stories. So don't be ashamed of the chapters you're still working through. Your experience might become the encouragement someone else needs. Lesson 4. Don't try to do everything alone. The early believers understood something that modern life often makes us forget. We need each other. Acts shows believers praying together, supporting one another, sharing what they had, and helping people in need. They weren't building their lives around isolation, and that is incredibly relevant today. You can have thousands of followers online and still feel completely alone. You can be surrounded by people and still feel disconnected. You can look strong on the outside while struggling privately. That's why healthy community matters. Find people who encourage you to become better. People who tell you the truth, people who pray with you. People who don't just celebrate your success, but also stand beside you when life gets difficult. And remember, being strong doesn't mean refusing help. Sometimes strength means having the humility to say, I can't do this alone. Lesson 5. Don't give up just because the journey is hard. If you read Acts carefully, you'll notice something. Following God did not make the apostles' lives easy. They faced obstacles, they faced rejection, they experienced difficult circumstances. But difficulty didn't automatically mean they were on the wrong path. That is a lesson many of us need to hear. We often assume, if this is difficult, maybe I should quit. Difficulty and failure are not always the same thing. Sometimes growth is difficult. Sometimes obedience is difficult. Sometimes waiting is difficult. And sometimes the right path is still going to require patience and perseverance. So before you give up, ask yourself, am I truly supposed to quit? Or am I simply tired? Those are two very different things. Take a breath, pray, rest when you need to, learn from your mistakes, then keep moving forward. Because one difficult chapter does not define your entire story. Final message. The book of Acts reminds us that faith is not just something we talk about. It's something we live. It's choosing courage when fear tells you to hide. It's trusting God when you don't have all the answers. It's using your story to encourage someone else. It's building meaningful community instead of isolating yourself. And it's continuing forward when the road becomes difficult. So wherever you are right now, don't obsess over having your entire future figured out. Focus on the next right step. Pray for wisdom. Trust God. Stay grounded.